Many people bumble into retirement without any structure, plan or framework. They assume that living their life with a bunch of boundaries for so long means that now they're retired or whatever happens next in their life, they don't need those boundaries anymore. What if I told you that having a framework is actually going to be useful, helpful and beneficial in this stage of your life and actually can lead to a happier, healthier and better retirement or whatever you want next. And in this video, I want to explain the 3 frameworks that are going to be vital for you in this stage of your life to help you live a longer, happier, healthier retirement. Welcome to What Happens Next. If you're within 3 to 5 years of your intending retirement, you're probably thinking about having a period of your life where actually you can do whatever you want. However, after working for 2 decades with clients as a chartered financial planner, I've discovered that complete freedom with no tracks to run on actually isn't a good way to live your life. And it's because of something called the paradox of choice. There's an amazing book on this subject written by psychologist Barry Schwartz. And he talks about the fact that when you go into the supermarket and there's 40 choices, it actually makes our lives more difficult. And the same applies to our retirement. Without those tracks to run on, without that framework, in a period where we could do anything, often the choice we make is to not do anything. And that's counterintuitive to a life well lived in this chapter in your life. And in this video, what I'm going to do is talk about the frameworks that you can put in place, the ones that we've built to help our clients, support them to live a life well lived in this chapter. But before I do that, I want to tell you how we came to build these frameworks and why we believe they're really important for you to live a life that you want in this chapter. And that story starts with the weirdest WhatsApp message I've ever received. You see, I've got a client called Mike, who has worked with us for a few years now and came to me and said, actually, Chris, I want to tell you that I'm going to be all right financially. So we built his financial plan. We did the work with him. We looked at what if scenarios. We modelled everything. And we came to him about 7 weeks later after our first conversation saying, Mike, I think you're going to be all right financially. You know, using the assumptions we've used, using the models we've built, we think you're going to be okay. And he said, well, I'm going to put my notice in. And I said, before you do that, Mike, this is a really big decision. Before you do that, help me understand what you're going to do with your time. I'm really conscious that you came to us about the money, but I want to make sure we're thinking about some of those other factors that a lot of us need to think about when we're going into that chapter of our lives we used to call retirement. Don't worry, Chris, he said, I've got plenty of DIY to do in the house. Now, my experience when clients tell me that is that DIY doesn't last that long. And it definitely doesn't last 10, 20, 30 years, whatever that next chapter of our life is going to be and however long it's going to last. So I was cautious about the way I approached that with Mike, but offered to have a conversation with him when his DIY was done. For Mike, we finished the work we were doing with him in September, and in the January, 3rd of Jan 2023, I get a WhatsApp text message picture from Mike. And I don't know if you remember, there used to be a thing called Airfix. I'm pretty sure you can still get it, which effectively were model kit aeroplanes that you had the ability to glue together. What Mike sent me on the 3rd of January is a photo of a completed one of them and a message that said, Chris, this is how I now spend my time. Do I need to get a life? Now that sent me down a massive rabbit hole because I started thinking, yes, we can help people think about how much they need in retirement or whatever happens next. How much money do they need to never run out of money again. And certainly on this channel, we have really in-depth conversations about working out what your enough looks like to support you to do that. But is that enough planning and preparation for you to live the life you want in this stage of your life? Because there's so many other factors that we need to consider. So what I did is I read. I'm an avid reader, and I picked up a bunch of books about the subject of, when we're in our 50s and 60s, what we need to do and what we need to think about what's next. I read about well-being. I read about happiness. I read philosophy. I read history. I read all sorts of different books that would help me help my clients not only navigate the financial element of what happens next, but also all of the challenges we face when change happens and we need to do something about it. And from that, I've taken at work. I'm writing the What Happens Next book as I record this at the minute. And I'm putting all of these frameworks in the book to share. But today, I wanted to talk to you about what those frameworks are and how you can use them to help you navigate the next stage of your life. The first framework I want to share is in the form of an acronym called TRACS. T stands for tune in initially to your own purpose and values. R stands for rapid, low-cost experimentation. A stands for appreciate the change curve. C stands for create the plan, evolve the plan. K stands for keep well-being as the aspiration. And S stands for seek the right help. Let's explore each component individually, starting with tuning initially to your own purpose and values. For me, it's really interesting. In my work as a chartered financial planner, often what happens is people come in with the service reasons they want a conversation with me. Chris, can you look at these bunch of pensions that I've got? Chris, I've got an inheritance tax liability that I want to look at mitigating. Chris, I want to make sure my money is well invested. To be clear, all of those tactical elements are really, really important. But they're often not the underlying reason people come to have a chat. Because the conversations that really fascinate me and the ones that I really love to have is where we get to dig a bit deeper into the underlying reasons for people coming to having a conversation with me. Because pensions you want to look at and potentially put together in one place often is about simplicity and clarity that the money you've got links with the plan. I've got an inheritance tax liability might mean I want my family to benefit from the wealth I've accumulated, and making sure your money is well invested. And the best part of my job is spending time asking questions to have a deeper understanding of my clients, not only about their money, but about their life. Often clients come and see me because there's a misalignment with the way that they're spending their time compared to how they want to live and what they value in life. And we're all unique. My values, even though there might be a bit of overlap, are going to be different to yours. And what purpose means to me is going to be different than what it means to you. However, often when clients come and see me, they realise that they've put their ladder up against a building and started climbing that ladder, and then realise that they haven't taken the time to look round to see whether they're climbing the right building. And actually, this transition, this crossroads in our life, when we're reviewing how much we've got and whether we're ready for retirement financially, is a great opportunity to re-examine how we spend our time and whether it aligns to both our values and purpose. So why are we starting with values and purpose and not money or health or anything like that? It's because actually I believe that getting clear on what we believe about the world and what our purpose is in life makes every other decision a lot easier. And in the upcoming What Happens Next book, we're going to be exploring some really in-depth exercises to help you get really clear on what your values are and what your purpose is in this chapter of your life. If you've not signed up for the waiting list for the What Happens Next book, which I'm in the process of editing at the minute, and I'm really working hard to make sure it's as good as possible. You can click the QR code below, and that will take you to the waiting list for the book. We'd love for you to be one of the first people to have a copy of the book as soon as it comes out. So the R in the TRACS model is rapid, low-cost experimentation. Ray Bradbury, the brilliant American author, put it as succinctly as anybody could when he said, life is just trying things to see if they work. And this is particularly true when we're thinking about the lives we want to live in our next chapter. The benefit of just going out and trying some new stuff is some things will fit, others won't, but you'll slowly navigate to a life that you actually want to live. The beauty of rapid low-cost experimentation is some ideas will fit, some won't, but trying stuff allows you to get closer to what you actually want in your life. And I find it helpful to think about it this way. Have you ever purchased an item of clothing that looked brilliant in the shop, brilliant on the mannequin, and you got it home and thought, I don't think I'm ever going to wear that after trying it on once? Something I've done a few times, as my funky shirt collection will attest to. They always seem to look better on the shop than they do on me. But on the flip side, I've got clothing that I wear and I feel really comfortable in. Clothing that I've owned for years and years that I'm really happy wearing. And I believe we make better decisions when we try things on for size, clothes and the life we want to live. I'm suggesting that you want to do this when you're thinking about activities, the things that you're going to do to spend your time in this next chapter. In the brilliant book, Design Your Life by Bill Burnett, the concept of rapid, low-cost experimentation is explained really well. I would recommend, after you've watched this video, to check out Bill Burnett's TED Talk, where he explains this concept. Because design thinking is a way to solve problems in a creative way. It's been used by companies like Starbucks, Google, Airbnb and Nike to think about solving challenges in their business. But design thinking and rapid low-cost experimentation can be just as useful when we're thinking about our lives. So what can we prototype in our lives? What small, low-risk action can we take to decide how you want to spend the next chapter of your life? An example might be not knowing how you want to contribute to your community, but just going along for a few meetings in different community groups to see what one fits. Not committing immediately to one group, but seeing what one, number one, aligns with your values and purpose, but with people you can get on with. It might be not going to the gym and then walking around the machines and thinking, this gym stuff isn't for me. There's so many different ways we can try to improve our physical health. It could be yoga, it could be running, it could be walking, it could be martial arts or boxing training. We could jump on our bikes. We could jump on YouTube and check out all of the exercise routines available on here for free. There's so many ways that we can get fit. You could play paddle tennis that I've started to play recently. A great game, a lot of fun. But you don't know until you try. The idea of rapid, low-cost experimentation is trying a bunch of these things, seeing what fits, and doing more of the ones you like. And I've had a practical experience of rapid, low-cost experimentation recently. You see, I like writing. I'm writing the What Happens Next book, and I made a change in my life a few years ago, and it's the reason that I'm recording these videos today. I went from working full-time, I considered 5 days a week, down to 4 days a week. Now, in reality, I spend my Fridays writing and actually thinking about the work, but not doing day-to-day, face-to-face client work. Now, I could have turned around and said, that's it, I'm giving up the business, I'm selling the business, and I'm going to solely work on the book. But I didn't do that because I didn't know whether it was going to fit. And actually making drastic knee-jerk change from one environment to another isn't often the best route to success. Trying stuff, seeing if it works, and making gradual, low-cost, experimental change might be a better way for you to do it. Now, I might at some point consider a 3-day working week. I might not. But actually, what I do is trial everything before I do it. The next part of the framework, the C in track, is create the plan, evolve the plan. As a financial planner, I'm constantly talking about the importance of planning. You might be surprised to hear, however, that plans, I believe, never go to plan. I think Mike Tyson was right when he said, plans are great and then you get punched in the face. The reality is that when we're learning things on our journey to what happens next or retirement, we may change our perspective in terms of what we actually want. And my second framework is the next framework. N is for navigate, working out where we want to go, working out the life we actually want. E is for evaluate, work out where we are now. X is for execute. I've cheated a bit there. There's not that many words that start with X. Take the action in an incremental way to get where we want to go. And T is for track. Track where we're going, check we're still heading in the right direction, and then actually make small movements to get us closer to the lives we want to live. Now, I believe that's a cyclical process because effectively your life isn't static. It will continue to change. So always working out where you want to go, always working out where you are, always taking action to get you closer, and always keeping on track is a lifelong process. And plans will go wrong. I had a client a couple of years ago where we built his plan financially and change hit him hard because of a divorce. And he said to me, I don't think I benefit from planning because what's the point of planning when things can go wrong in your life? And I get it. It's so difficult often to believe in a plan when things go wrong. But what you then need to do is think about that process. Work out where you are now, work out where you want to go now, take the action to incrementally get there, and check whether you're still heading in the right direction. The planning process is still worthwhile, even if all of your circumstances have changed. And it's like a GPS or Google Maps. You get in your car, turn the engine on, heading in your direction, and there's a traffic jam. Google Maps will work out where you want to go, work out where you are, and potentially change your route. It will then keep you on track and continue to reorient you and re-navigate you every step of the way. And I believe when we're thinking about this fundamental change in our life, that's a process and a journey worth following when we're thinking about well-being, both financially and otherwise. The next element is the K in the tracks model is keeping well-being as an aspiration. Often when we think about what happens next or retirement, we initially focus on money. Now, having enough and working out your number is a really important part of the process, undoubtedly. But it's important to remember that financial well-being is only one component part. Tell somebody with loads of money but not enough health to enjoy it, or people they love or like to share it with, and then you realise that the success is way more than the money in the bank. Now, we could all argue we want to be happier, but I don't talk about happiness, I talk about well-being. Because happiness is an emotional state. It's a fixed point in time. What I'm more interested in is having conversations to improve your overall well-being in a range of areas. Consider the intellectual challenges good work provides, or a great spin class, or helping out in your local community. It doesn't always feel static, but your well-being certainly improves. Also, nobody is constantly and consistently happy. And paradoxically, a focus on chasing happiness can result in the opposite. However, focusing on the things that you can do to improve your overall well-being is certainly worth looking at. That's why when we built the What Happens Next framework, it highlights the importance of thinking about our values and life's purpose in the middle, but looking on the outer ring the elements that we should consider when we're thinking about our own well-being. First, there's intellectual and occupational well-being. How do we maintain our minds, keep engaged, which might include paid or voluntary work? Then there's social well-being. How do we maintain connections and friendships? I speak a lot on this channel about the importance of friends and the fact that loneliness has such a detrimental impact on our lives. Then there's community. I'm a firm believer that kindness is amazing for the people you help, but also amazing for us. So what does community mean to you in your life, and how do you enhance your well-being from doing good with others? Physical well-being is really important, maintaining our fitness and health so that we can do more things with our lives. For me, there's three main component parts of that. There's nutrition, there's sleep, and there's exercise. And then financial well-being. How do we make sure that we don't worry about money and we've got enough to live the lives we want? Now, there's no such thing as a perfect balance. Throughout our lives, that balance is often imperfect. But the idea here is focusing on those areas and saying what incremental next steps, what action might I want to take to just slowly, incrementally improve well-being in one of those areas today. And the S in TRACS stands for seek the right help. That's why we're currently in the process of building something really interesting and exciting for people like you. It's not ready to launch yet, but once it is, I'd love for you to find out more about it. All you need to do is click the QR code below and you'll be able to join the free What Happens Next Inner Circle, so that when we launch something that's really designed to help people like you navigate the next stage of your life, you can get access to it immediately. Also, I'd love to help more today, and there's a couple of useful videos that I think you're going to benefit from. This one is why goal setting isn't always the solution you need, and actually why anti-goals are really powerful. And this one is me talking to sleep expert Dr. Neil Stanley about the importance of sleep on our physical well-being and in our lives. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you on What Happens Next soon.